Hey there, everybody, what is going on with you today? Pull up a seat, kick your shoes off, grab a drink, and get comfortable, because I promise you the story I'm about to lay in your lap is going to make your jaw hit the floor and stay there for the rest of the weekend. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, ring that little bell so you never miss a drop, and thumb this video up while you're at it, because your girl works hard, sleeps late, and the algorithm eats when you feed it. Now let me warn you before we even open the first door, this one is spicy. This one is layered. This one has more receipts than a Black Friday clearance sale. And this one has been cooking in the background of the internet for weeks, while everyone else was staring at the wrong headline. Because here is the news that has the entire timeline choking on its morning coffee. Maduka Okoye, the Nigerian goalkeeper the internet has been drooling over since the summer, is done. Done. Cooked. Finished. He is finished with Cardi B. He is packing his suitcase, dusting off his jersey, folding his passport back into his pocket, and quietly, professionally, and permanently walking out the back door of that entire situation. And Cardi B does not know how to accept the word no. She never has. She never will. And I am telling you right now, before this weekend is out, before this news cycle turns over, that woman is going to have the loudest, wildest, most humiliating public meltdown of her entire career, and every single one of us is going to be sitting front row with popcorn watching it unfold in real time. Now I know what some of you are already typing. You're saying, there you go again, jumping to conclusions, running your mouth without receipts. Sweetheart, hear me clearly. I have been telling you people this exact story for weeks. Weeks upon weeks. I told you when Cardi B was slithering into that man's orbit right after she pushed baby touchdown into the world, and half of you called me dramatic. I told you when the two of them started showing up in the same restaurants in Europe, in the same after parties in Paris, in the same private lounges in Milan, and half of you called me a hater. I told you the whole Italian footballer fantasy was a rebound so obvious you could see it from space with a broken telescope, and half of you tried to gaslight me into thinking Cardi B had finally found her prince. Look at where we are now. Look who was right. It was your girl. It was always your girl. It has always been your girl. So let me walk you through this properly, layer by layer, receipt by receipt, because the mess is thick, the receipts are receding, and the crash-out clock is ticking down to zero as we speak. For those of you who have been living under a Wi-Fi-free rock, Maduka Okoye is the Nigerian-born, Italy-trained goalkeeper who speaks the most buttery, silk-wrapped, honey-dipped Italian you have ever heard in your life. This man opens his mouth and grown women short-circuit. Grown women lose their college degrees. Grown women file for divorce mentally. He is tall, he is trained, he is disciplined. He is the type of European-based athlete who moves through his career with the calm of a man who knows exactly what he is worth and exactly what he is not willing to trade for a headline. And that, right there, that composure, that self-knowledge, is the exact reason he is now peeling himself off of Cardi B like gum off the bottom of a shoe on a hot summer sidewalk. Because a man who knows his worth does not stay glued to a woman who is actively trying to lower his valuation on every social media platform known to God and man. Let me back up, because context is everything here. When the tabloids first started whispering that Cardi B and Maduka Okoye were spending suspicious amounts of time together, Cardi did what Cardi always does. She hopped on Instagram Live. She hopped on Twitter Spaces. She hopped on every single microphone within arm's reach. She got that phone right up in her face, and she started announcing to the universe that her personal life needed maintenance, that her body was a garden, that her whole situation required watering, that certain parts of her were being tended to by qualified hands. All these little coded phrases that translated, in plain English, to yes, I am dating this man. Please put my name in more headlines. Please put me on more magazine covers. Please keep me trending until Friday. That's Cardi. That's always been Cardi. Anytime a new man enters the chat, she cannot help herself. She cannot let a rumor breathe. She cannot let speculation live for even a full news cycle. She has to grab it, wrap it around her neck like a scarf, and parade it down Fifth Avenue while the paparazzi flash bulbs blind everyone within a 2-block radius. And listen, I understand it. I really do. Cardi B built an empire on being loud, on being unfiltered, on being the woman who says the quiet part with a bullhorn duct taped to a megaphone. That formula worked for her for a long, long time. That formula turned her from a stripper on the Bronx pole into a Grammy-winning global brand. Nobody is denying that trajectory. But the thing about that formula, sweethearts, is that it works on American entertainment men. It works on rappers. It works on producers. It works on the ecosystem she grew up hustling in. It absolutely does not work on a European-trained athlete who has been coached his entire career to protect his image, protect his sponsorships, protect his transfer value, and protect his brand from any hint of chaos or scandal. Maduka Okoye is not from her world. Maduka Okoye has never been from her world. And Maduka Okoye is now realizing, in real time, in high definition, that her world is a bonfire, and he was standing 3 feet too close to the flames with a can of gasoline in each hand. Now here is where the story starts to burn. Because in the last 2 weeks, and I want you to really focus on this, because this is the part everyone missed, Cardi B has been having a series of little meltdowns on the internet. Little ones. Micro crashouts. Small tantrums disguised as spontaneity. And most of the internet is missing the pattern because the meltdowns look small on the surface. They look like Cardi being Cardi. They look like nothing worth writing home about. But your girl over here reads the tea leaves for a living. When Cardi B starts stomping and pouting and lashing out in tiny bursts across her platforms, that is the pressure cooker whistling. That is the warning siren before the volcano. That is her nervous system telling us, before her mouth catches up to her feelings, that something in her personal life is going sideways, and she does not yet have the words to say it out loud. Exhibit A, and pay attention because this one is important. Cardi B recently announced, with her whole entire chest, on a live stream, to millions of people watching in real time, that she is throwing a party. Not just a party. She specifically called it a freak-off. Yes, that word. That specific word. That word we all know from a certain federal indictment that has been dominating the news cycle for the better part of a year now. That word. She used that word. On purpose. To describe an event she is hosting. To promote her new music. To generate buzz. And she went into graphic, blush-inducing, HR nightmare-level detail about what she wants the guests to look like, what she wants them to do when they arrive, what she wants them to bring, and what she wants them to wear or, more accurately, not wear. I'm not going to repeat the specifics because I would like to keep this channel monetized, thank you very much, and I would like to keep my ad partners answering my emails. But if you saw the live stream, you know exactly what I mean. You know. Now, why would Cardi B, a mother of 4, a woman fresh off giving birth, a woman who just claimed in interview after interview that she was rebuilding her image and choosing better, throw an event using that specific loaded word? Why would she do that? Why would she reach for the most legally radioactive, culturally charged phrase available and pin it to her own promotional campaign? I'll tell you why. Because Maduka Okoye is pulling away, and she can feel it in her bones, and she is doing the one thing she always does when a man starts drifting toward the exit. She turns the volume all the way up. She gets louder, wilder, more outrageous, more graphic, more shocking, more everything. She thinks, and this is a pattern documented across her entire romantic history, that if she goes viral loud enough, the man will come running back to claim her, mark her, defend her. She thinks attention equals affection. She thinks chaos equals commitment. She thinks scandal equals safety. She has never learned the difference. And at this point in her life, watching her repeat the same behavior at 30 plus that she was performing at 22, I am not sure she ever will. Exhibit B. Have you noticed that for the last several weeks, Cardi B has been on a very specific rhetorical warpath? Have you actually sat with the receipts? She has been saying, over and over and over again, in tweet after tweet, in live after live, in comment after comment, the exact same phrase. Forget a baby mama. Forget a baby mama. Forget a baby mama. She keeps repeating it. She keeps repeating it like a chant, like a spell, like something she is trying to manifest into being. It is drumbeat consistent. It is metronome precise. Now Cardi B does nothing by accident. Whatever else you want to say about her, she is a marketing brain the size of a small country. She is a strategist. When she repeats a phrase like a mantra, she is targeting somebody, and the target is not vague, the target is not scattered, the target is very, very, very specific. Because let me remind you what happened just a couple of weeks ago. Maduka Okoye's baby mama, that beautiful, articulate, calm in the face of chaos mother of his child, went public. She did not scream. She did not throw a tantrum. She did not go on any live streams in her car, crying and pointing fingers and threatening lawsuits. She sat down like a grown woman. She opened her mouth, and she told the internet, in measured, precise, and devastating detail, that Maduka Okoye is a man who plays both sides of the fence, that he has been accused of behavior far more disturbing than infidelity, and that any woman jumping into a relationship with him should walk in with her eyes wide open, her contract pre-signed, and her exit plan already printed. That was it. That was the drop. She said her piece. She logged off. She kept her dignity intact. She won the internet without raising her voice once. And ever since that video hit the timeline, Cardi B has been on this forget a baby mama campaign like her entire life depends on it. Because it kind of does. Because that baby mama's calm, articulate testimony did more damage to her little fantasy relationship than any tabloid ever could have. That baby mama put a mirror in front of Maduka Okoye and asked him, on a global stage, in front of every football fan on 3 continents, if he really wanted to be tied to a woman who was so publicly, so recklessly, so unapologetically messy while the mother of his own child was demonstrating actual, tangible, real-world grace. And I am telling you right now, from everything I am seeing, everything I am hearing, and everything I have been tracking across 6 different sources in 3 different time zones, Maduka Okoye looked in that mirror, and he did not like the reflection staring back at him. Now here is the pattern with Cardi B that nobody wants to say out loud, so I'm going to say it for you. Plainly, on the record, Cardi B has a very specific type. Her type is not tall, dark, and handsome. Her type is not rich, famous, and eligible. Her type is unresolved. Her type is unavailable. Her type is a man with active drama in his rear view, a man with a baby mama in the wings, a man with situations he has not closed out yet, a man with complications he cannot untangle in a single afternoon. She is drawn to messy triangles the way a moth is drawn to a security floodlight in a suburban driveway. She loves inserting herself into a man's unfinished business, because when he chooses her over his other obligations, she gets to feel like she won something. She gets to feel like the trophy. She gets to feel like the prize. She gets to feel like the queen in a story where somebody else, someone she never has to meet, someone she never has to see, is the discarded pawn. And I have thought about this a lot, and I want to share it with you gently because I do not want to speculate too far into anyone's private family history. But the way Cardi B keeps chasing these particular dynamics tells anyone paying attention, that somewhere in her personal history, somewhere in her upbringing, somebody did this exact same thing to a woman she loved. Somebody in her orbit was the other woman. Somebody destabilized a home she once lived in. Somebody walked in and rearranged the furniture of her childhood. And whether she has processed it consciously or not, she seems to be reenacting that dynamic on repeat, from the outside in a strange psychological loop where she gets to be the one doing the destabilizing this time, the one holding the power, the one deciding when the door closes. That is not a diagnosis. That is a pattern, and the pattern is loud enough that even her fans have started noticing it. But here is where the pattern breaks, and it breaks hard. Because Maduka Okoye is not the type of man who lets a chaotic woman claim him for sport. Maduka Okoye has been raised in a professional football culture that treats scandal like poison, like plague, like career-ending gasoline soaked into a match. He has sponsors. He has coaches. He has a national team that plays under global scrutiny every single week. His career, unlike a rapper's career, does not benefit from tabloid theater. His career actively gets punished by tabloid theater. Every additional day he stays in Cardi B's orbit, his value in the transfer market drops. His endorsement conversations get quieter. His management team makes tighter and tighter faces during meetings. Cardi B is a liability to him. Not a partner. Not a muse. A liability. And he knows it. His agent knows it. His teammates know it. His family knows it. The podcast circuit has been ringing the alarm bell on this for months now. Man after man, host after host, has been saying the same thing in different words. Cardi B has become a career hazard. She has become a warning label. Any man who ties himself to her has to be prepared to lose control of his own narrative from the very first week, because she will drag his name into her feuds, she will live stream about him without warning, she will announce his private business to the world with zero filter, and she will do it all before breakfast on a Tuesday. Maduka Okoye clearly listens to those podcasts. Maduka Okoye clearly reads those articles. Maduka Okoye clearly has advisors around him who have sat him down and said, in whatever language they speak most fluently, "My brother, this cannot continue. This will end you. This will end your career before your career even peaks." And here is a truth I want to say plainly, because we have to talk about the timing. Since Cardi B stepped into a public thing with Maduka Okoye, the amount of unflattering information about him that has surfaced online is not a coincidence. It is not random. It is a pattern, a repeating cycle, a documented phenomenon. Look at what happened with Stefon Diggs. Nobody was talking about Stefon Diggs's baby mama situations, his alleged temperament, his long list of complicated women, his legal exposure, until Cardi B attached her name to his. Then, overnight, every skeleton in that man's closet started tap dancing on the timeline in matching outfits. That is the Cardi B effect. That is what she brings to a man's front door. She does not just enter a man's life. She irradiates it. She lights up every hidden corner. She turns the volume up on every private secret. And any man watching from a distance takes careful, detailed, panic-adjacent notes. Maduka Okoye took notes. Maduka Okoye is done taking notes. Maduka Okoye is done, period, full stop, end of chapter. Now let me get into what I am hearing about the actual mechanics of the fade-out, because this is where the story gets really interesting. Maduka Okoye is not the type of man to blow up a woman's phone with a breakup speech. He is not the type to make a big public statement or drop a somber Instagram caption. He is not going to run to a podcast and air his side of the story. What he is doing, and what my sources have been quietly confirming across multiple independent channels, is a slow, cold, professional distancing. A textbook European fade. Fewer calls, shorter replies, missed dinners, suddenly important training camps, suddenly important travel schedules, suddenly important family visits, suddenly important physiotherapy appointments. The kind of soft, deniable, plausible excuse ghosting that a European athlete does when he wants a woman to figure it out on her own so he does not have to be the villain in her next live stream tantrum. And Cardi B is figuring it out. Slowly, painfully, publicly. That is why the mantras are getting louder. That is why the freak-off announcement went as far as it did. That is why she has been dragging Maduka Okoye's baby mama in indirect little jabs across her platforms. She is trying to bait him. She is trying to get him to say something, do something, defend her, respond, react, engage. Anything. Any single scrap of acknowledgement. Because if he engages, if he even likes a post, that means he is still connected. That means the door is not fully closed. And every day he stays silent. Every day he does not react. Every day he lets her rant into the void. She loses another degree of certainty, another inch of ground, another piece of the fantasy she was writing in her head. And Cardi B, whatever else you want to say about her, does not do uncertainty well. Not at all. Not even a little. Now here is where the story gets even messier. Because when a woman like Cardi B senses the exit door closing on her latest romance, she does not clean up her life, sit down with a therapist, and journal her feelings in a leather-bound notebook. She burns it hotter. She adds fuel. She pours accelerant on the situation and steps back to watch it light up the entire block. That is where we are right now. The freak-off announcement is not the finale. That was the trailer. That was the teaser. That was the opening credits. The real chaos is still coming, and it is coming fast. And I need to tell you something that is going to make some of you uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it anyway because I keep it real on this channel and I do not sugarcoat inconvenient truths. The moment Maduka Okoye publicly, definitively, undeniably cuts her off, and it is coming, sweethearts, it is coming, mark my words, Offset is going to move. Offset is going to move fast. Offset is going to move faster than most of you realize. Offset has been sitting in the tall grass this entire time, watching his ex-wife hemorrhage credibility on the timeline. And Offset has a legal team that is measuring every single receipt with a magnifying glass and a highlighter. Because think about it from Offset's perspective for 1 second. Cardi B recently threw a $2 million party. $2 million. Of her money. Cash money, liquid money. On what exactly? On a spectacle. On an event. On an evening. On a few hours of screaming applause and champagne bottles. That is the kind of financial decision that makes a family court judge lean forward in their chair. That is the kind of pattern of spending that opens doors in a custody negotiation that most people do not even realize exist. If your co-parent is publicly, dramatically, and repeatedly demonstrating financial impulsivity, emotional volatility, and questionable judgment around the men she brings into her orbit, then that co-parent has a real, actionable, evidence-backed argument to make about the stability of the home her children are being raised in. Offset is not a saint. Offset has his own history. Offset has his own list of things he does not want subpoenaed. Nobody is arguing any of that. But Offset does not have to be a saint to win in a family courtroom. He only has to look more stable than she does on paper, on the day, in front of the judge, in a filing cabinet full of highlighted printouts. And right now, on paper, that bar is not high. That bar is on the floor. That bar is buried under the floor. That bar is in the parking garage below the basement. Cardi B has spent the last year giving the courts, the tabloids, and the internet a highlight reel of decisions that no attorney representing her would ever choose to voluntarily enter into evidence. And here is another wrinkle, because this story has more wrinkles than an Uniron linen suit. Stefon Diggs, remember him? Baby Touchdown's father? Is watching this exact same tape from a couch in a completely different city. Stefon Diggs's career is not what it used to be. Stefon Diggs's own legal situation, as you all know if you've been keeping up with your girl, has been a full-blown circus. Stefon Diggs has every incentive, financial and reputational, to look at his ex and think, if she is going to blow $2 million on a party while my son is in her care, maybe I should be having a very serious conversation with a family attorney about my son. And I promise you, that conversation has already started somewhere in his camp. I promise you on everything. I promise you on the graves of my great-great-grandparents. So now Cardi B is standing in the middle of a Category 5 storm, and she does not even see it yet. Maduka Okoye is closing the door behind her. Offset is loading his motion filings. Stefon Diggs is dialing his lawyer. Her baby daddies are lining up on the horizon like storm clouds gathering at the edge of the beach. And the woman is on Instagram live announcing a freak-off with her whole chest out. That is the level of disconnect we are watching in real time. That is a woman who cannot read the room because the room is on fire, and she thinks the smoke is a mood lighting effect somebody set up as a favor. Let me pause and remind you of something absolutely crucial. Cardi B keeps saying she is a mother of 4. She keeps saying it. In every interview, on every live stream, in every clapback, in every comment section. Mother of 4. Mother of 4. Mother of 4. Sweetheart, saying it does not make it a lived reality. Being a mother of 4 is not a hashtag. It is not a caption. It is not a talking point you deploy when someone criticizes you. It is a discipline. It is a schedule. It is a set of choices that ripple through every single decision you make from the moment you get out of bed until the moment your head hits the pillow. And if the men in your life keep watching you and concluding that your children are the last thing on your priority list, that is not a public relations problem. That is a courtroom problem. That is a custody problem. That is a headline you cannot spin your way out of. Because let me tell you what family lawyers actually look at when they are building a case. They look at how much time you spend on your kids versus how much time you spend chasing men across 3 continents. They look at whether you have a stable partner in the home or a rotating door of unresolved romantic drama. They look at whether your public statements about your personal life are consistent, dignified, and protective of your children's future adult reputations. And Cardi B, bless her heart, and I am saying this with genuine love and not an ounce of malice, has failed every single one of those tests in the last 12 months. Every single one. Not one pass. Not one green check mark. Not one gold star. And that is why Maduka Okoye is running. Sprinting, really. Because Maduka Okoye can see what everyone else with functioning eyes can see. He can see that this woman is on the brink of a very public, very expensive, very career-defining crash out, and he does not want his passport photo anywhere near the collateral damage. He is a smart man. He is a strategic man. He is a European-trained professional who understands, in his bones, that reputations, once soiled, are hard, expensive, and sometimes impossible to rebuild. He is not going to be a Wikipedia footnote in the chapter titled Cardi B's late 20s downfall. Not him. Not this one. Not on his watch. Now let me get into something else that has been quietly happening in the background, because I keep my ear to the ground for you people. There has been a real, measurable shift in the way the Nigerian entertainment and sports community is talking about this situation. In the beginning, when the rumors first broke, there was excitement. There was pride. There was national team energy. There were memes. People were posting Maduka Okoye and Cardi B side-by-side edits with heart emojis and flag emojis and captions in pidgin talking about how their son had done well for himself. That was the vibe for about 10 to 14 days. Do you know what the vibe is now? The vibe now is embarrassment. The vibe now is protective. The vibe now is a growing chorus of voices, from Lagos to London to Rome to Berlin, saying, Maduka, brother, come home from this. This is not your love story. This is somebody else's cautionary tale, and you are cast as the guest star with 3 lines and a bad accent. That kind of communal pressure matters. It matters a lot. It matters more than most Americans realize. Because Maduka Okoye is not just a soccer player. He is a national symbol. He wears his country's colors on the biggest stages in the sport. His career choices are not just his own. They belong, in a very real, very tangible sense, to a community that raised him, funded his development, supports him week in and week out, and expects him to represent them with dignity on the world stage. And when that community starts whispering, and it is whispering, a man like Maduka Okoye listens. A man like Maduka Okoye adjusts. A man like Maduka Okoye pulls back. And that is exactly what he is doing right this second. I want to talk for a moment about the way Cardi B has historically chosen her men, because this is the deep pattern nobody wants to name out loud. Cardi B has never dated a man who lifted her up. Not once. Not in her entire public romantic history. She has always dated men who added chaos, complications, drama, tabloid oxygen, and headlines. She has never chosen the safe hand. She has never chosen the quiet partner. She has never chosen the man who says less and shows up more. She has always chosen the man who trends. And when the trending stops, the relationship stops. That is the pattern. That is the entire biography. That is why she has 4 children by 2 men who cannot seem to stay off the timeline for more than 72 consecutive hours at a stretch, and why she is currently trying, and failing, to force Maduka Okoye into being the next chapter of that same book. But Maduka Okoye is not a chapter. Maduka Okoye is not a page. Maduka Okoye is not a footnote. Maduka Okoye is a whole other novel, in a whole other language, on a whole other bookshelf, in a whole other library, in a whole other country. And Cardi B does not have the library card. She does not have the passport. She does not have the visa. She does not have the reading level. And every day, in every quiet, unhighlighted interaction the two of them are not having, she is finding that out. Now let me get to the part that is going to have the comments cooking, because I know some of you have been waiting patiently for me to say it. There are whispers, and I want to underline that word, whispers, because I am not confirming this as fact. I am reporting what is circulating, that Maduka Okoye has already begun quietly reconnecting with his baby mama. Not romantically, not officially, not publicly, but conversationally, co-parentally, familially, emotionally. He has been present in ways he was not present a few months ago. He has been calling. He has been showing up. He has been asking questions he had not been asking. He has been repairing something that never quite finished breaking. And if that is true, and everything I am tracking across 3 independent sources suggests it is, then what we are watching unfold in front of us is not just a breakup. What we are watching is a man walking home, and Cardi B is standing on the porch of a house that was never, at any point, hers to begin with. That is the story. That is the whole story. That is the story nobody else on this platform has the guts, the sources, or the pattern recognition skills to put together in one coherent piece. But your girl does, and your girl did. And your girl is telling you now because I want you to be ahead of the wave when it finally, definitively breaks. And baby, it is going to break loud. It is going to break messy. It is going to break in a way that will trend for weeks, that will spawn 100 reaction videos, that will fund entire commentary channels for a full quarter. Cardi B is going to log on, and she is going to make an announcement, or she is going to make a diss track, or she is going to book an interview and cry on cue, or she is going to go on Instagram live at 3 in the morning smoking and slurring and pointing fingers at Maduka Okoye and his baby mama, and probably me too while she is at it. And every single one of you is going to remember this exact video, this exact date, this exact prediction, this exact moment, and you are going to come flooding back into the comments section and you are going to say, she called it. She called it before anybody. She called it when everyone else on this platform was still buying the fairy tale. I am telling you now, on the record, in high definition, so you cannot say I did not warn you. Cardi B does not know how to lose a man with grace. She does not know how to close a chapter quietly. She does not know how to redirect that energy inward and take the therapy the universe keeps mailing to her front door with return receipts and signed acknowledgement cards. She does not know how to sit still. She does not know how to be alone. She does not know how to let a door close without kicking it 3 times on the way out and then filming herself doing it. And Maduka Okoye, respectful, composed, private, European-trained Maduka Okoye, has decided, categorically, without drama, without spectacle, that he is not going to be the man on the other side of that kicked door. He is out. He is done. He is finished. He is closed. And when the crash out finally comes, and it is coming, remember who told you first. Remember who was tracking the pattern when the tabloids were still hyping the fairy tale. Remember who said, weeks ago, that this was not love. This was a woman chasing a highlight reel, and the highlight reel had already stopped filming, already wrapped production, already been shelved by the executives. Before I let you go, I want to leave you with one last thing to sit with, because this piece is going to matter more than you realize in the coming weeks. Watch the language. Watch it carefully. Watch how Cardi B refers to Maduka Okoye over the next 7 to 10 days. Watch whether she still uses his name at all. Watch whether she still hints at him affectionately. Watch whether she pivots to a new man immediately, because that is her tell. She never lets a public breakup breathe before she introduces the replacement act. Watch whether she starts subtweeting soccer culture, Italian culture, or Nigerian culture, because that is how she processes rejection when the man does not fit into her home country's celebrity economy. Watch her hands. Watch her captions. Watch her lives. Watch her deleted tweets. All of the signs are going to be there in plain daylight, and now that I have laid them out for you paragraph by paragraph, you are going to see them before the rest of the internet catches up. And listen, when it all pops off, do not come into my comments acting shocked. Do not act like I did not sit here for the last 20 minutes and lay it all out for you sentence by sentence. Do not act like your girl did not do the homework. This video is a receipt. Save it. Bookmark it. Screenshot it. Send it to your group chat. Because when the meltdown of the year finally hits, and it is coming, sweethearts, it is coming, I want every one of you to remember exactly where you heard it first and exactly who called it. Now tell me down in the comments, do you think Maduka Okoye has already ended it and Cardi B just has not accepted it yet? Do you think Offset is going to make a custody move within the next 30 days? Do you think Stefon Diggs is going to enter the chat with his own filings and his own attorneys? I want to hear all of it. Every theory, every prediction, every receipt you have been sitting on that you thought nobody would believe until now. Drop it below. I read every single one, and the best ones I will feature in the follow-up video that is already loading in my drafts folder as we speak. And if you made it this far, you already know what to do. Smash that like button so this video lands in front of the people who need to hear it before the story fully explodes. Subscribe if you have not, because there is a lot more coming this week, and trust me, a lot more is coming. Share it with the friend who has been defending Cardi B in your group chat since the beginning of summer, because they need to see this. They need to see it now, not later, not when the mainstream press finally catches up 3 weeks from now with a headline your girl already wrote in October. I will be back very soon with the next piece of this puzzle, because we are nowhere near the end of this story. Not even close. Not even in the same postal code as the end. This is the opening act. This is Scene 1, Act 1. The main event is still loading, still buffering, still waiting for Cardi B to hit the button that starts the countdown. Until then, protect your peace, protect your coins, protect your name, and stay out of every situationship that requires you to lower your standards to fit inside it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I love you all, sincerely, and I will see you in the very next one.